Good evening, Brockton residents. This is Mayor Robert Sullivan, and tonight is a special school committee meeting. It's Wednesday, June 10th, 2020. Time haven't arrived. It's past 6 o'clock. I'm going to open it up like we always do. We're going to salute our American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
United States of America,
for which
to
it
the
stands,
republic,
for which
for
it
which it
stands,
stands,
one nation,
one nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
liberty.
with liberty
and justice for all.
Thank you very much, everybody. And again, I need to read into the record the following statement that we've done in the past. Due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic and state of emergency, on March 12, 2020, Governor Charlie Baker issued an executive order temporarily suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, which is Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20. Pursuant to the order, public bodies are temporarily relieved from the open meeting law's requirement that meetings be held in public places, open and physically accessible to the public, so long as measures are taken to ensure public access to the body's deliberations through adequate alternative means. The special school committee meeting will be held and will be accessible to the public via Brockton Community Access, Brockton Public Schools website, which is www.bpsma.org, YouTube, and Comcast Channel 12. The public can also access this meeting via the following link, www.youtube.com/TheBrocktonChannels. I will now take a roll call vote under the revised meeting to adopt it under the revised meeting. Chair Sullivan says yes. Vice Chair D'Agostino.
Yes.
Ms. Azak.
yes,
Mrs. Mendez.
yes,
Mr. Minicello.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan.
yes,
Mr. Sullivan.
yes,
That's affirmative. It's all unanimous. It's confirmed. We will now do a roll call to establish a quorum. Chair says yes. Vice Chair D'Agostino.
Yes.
Ms. Azak.
yes,
Mrs. Mendez.
yes,
Mr. Minicello.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan.
yes,
Mr. Sullivan.
yes,
Unanimous again, duly consented to. We have established a quorum. We will now go into the agenda. I want to thank, of course, BCA. Tonight, Xavier is helping us on this. It's really a great effort, and they've been doing it week to week. So thank you very much, BCA. And of course, the one that gets this all together, Melinda Campbell, thank you for all your efforts, Melinda. It's really, it's a daunting task, and you do it so well. So thank you. We are joined, of course, by many administrators. Our fine superintendent of schools, Mike Thomas, is here as well. I know Kim Gibson from the BEA is here. So I'll go into the agenda. Number one of the agenda is the report of the finance budget. That's number one on the agenda tonight.
Yes, it's a report of last night's finance subcommittee, so I'm going to let Vice Chair Mr. D'Agostino give an update on last night's meeting with the finance subcommittee. As we went over the, as the mayor, as we know, we have a net school spending allocation of $165,927,020. That is a net school spending. I'm going to have Aldo, that's our net school spending allocation, and then Aldo, if you can jump in and give us the exact number on the non-net school spending.
The non-net is 11,553,365.
Thank you.
I'm
And
sure
then, which allows us to, it's basically a level funded budget, minus 5%, which was a lot of work done by the mayor, the school committee, the executive team, Kim Gibson, Troy Clarkson, Aldo Petronio, doing a lot of research, talking to people across the state to try to put this number together, conservative number, again, not knowing exactly what our Chapter 70 allocation is. So we went with the mayor was searched far and wide to go. Some cities and towns are going with a 10% cut to Chapter 70. Some are going with 15%. we were able to get to a 5% cut in level funding, which again is something that we did a lot of work to get to minimize the number of RIF notices that we need to send out. But it still hurts. It's a lot of pain. When we looked at in January, we had a governor's budget that had us getting about $22 million. And I had already approved, the committee already approved the hiring of 93 teaching and counseling positions and 6 paraprofessional positions to fill kindergarten classrooms. And then obviously a pandemic hit, and we're dealing with a budget where we're cutting, and I can go over those numbers, but I don't know if Mr. DiAugustino wanted to jump in about last night's finance subcommittee meeting.
Thank you, Superintendent. Yeah, I'll give just a summary of the meeting. Well, we don't have the minutes available quite yet. Last night, as the members of the committee are aware, the finance subcommittee, a committee of the whole, met to discuss and deliberate the FY21 budget. And so as a result of that meeting, the finance committee voted, let me make sure I get this right. So we took 2 votes on the budget. We had a unanimous vote for the net school spending budget request of $165,927,020. We also took a vote with 1 nay and the rest in favor, net school or non-net school spending rather, and that's basically the busing, transportation, for $11 million or $11,553,365,000. On both motions, again, Troy Clarkson joined us. Mr. Petronio was with us as well, provided us both a summary. The mayor provided us some information about the background of that too, as well as the superintendent. Members of the committee were given a chance for a question and comment and did so. Then, unfortunately, as a result of those numbers, we did also have to take a vote on reduction in force. And if I don't get this 100%, Aldo, please feel free to correct me. We discussed several do not fill positions that won't be filled, and so those positions will be cut either by attrition or retirement, and those were across several bargaining units. And in addition to those, we voted to a unanimous vote to send reduction in force notices to 24 certified staff, 15 paraprofessionals, 6 monitored teachers assistants, and 4 administrators. And the administrators were either retirement or RIF, but so we made that vote as well. Again, there was comment and question on those measures as well, and then the meeting concluded at that time. And that is my finance committee report. Any questions from any?
So I just want to go over some numbers, and again, after all the hard work, and these numbers could have been in the hundreds as we've been reading across the state. But these numbers mean a lot. I mean, and I just want to be clear that none of us feel good about this. And we're talking about 20 certified retirements, 20 early certified retirements with the incentive. That's 40. The 24 RIF notices, that's 64. And then the 5 positions that are alternative career leaves are also BEA positions. So that's 69 teaching positions. Again, 24 RIF notices, but that's 69 positions and that we're losing. And again, with the hope that this budget gets better when a Chapter 70 number comes out, that that obviously we can start bringing these the people back, obviously that were RIFed, and refilling some of these positions. What it means for paraprofessionals, again, we have open positions, but that's 30 positions being eliminated, 30 MTA positions being eliminated. Even we do have 24 open positions. So again, the RIF numbers are lower, but those are the totals, and we also have 15 long-term and permanent sub positions. Some of those positions are BEA positions. We'll get you that exact number because those are positions that we were not able to hire a teacher. So it's filled with a long-term sub or a permanent sub. And those, I don't think all 15, but a few of those positions will be BEA positions because again, they're going unfilled. So again, none of us feel good about this, and we've done this obviously far too often over the last several years, and it's obviously it's a horrible position to be in. But what we were looking at 2 weeks ago with numbers in the 200 to 300 to 400 range of pink slips alone, including the non-refills, we are in a place. Again, it's not a good place. We are in a better place than we were 2 weeks ago, and hopefully, 2 weeks. A month from now, we'll be in a lot better place when actually the numbers come out, and hopefully the state does us right by Chapter 70 and also holds on to some of the Student Opportunity Act money. So obviously, I'll leave it to the mayor for questions and comments. So thank you.
Could I say something?
Mr. Minicello, please.
Hi, everyone. I'm sorry about last evening. I had technical difficulties with my Zoom connection from my office. So I could see you and hear you, but lucky for you, you couldn't hear me. So so Mark, thank you very much for voting via text when I texted you. So last night I voted on the non-net school portion of the budget, 1 nay. And I'll just give you like my reasoning. Last year, when we had a problem with the non-net school busing portion of the money, prior to the untimely death of my friend and our friend Mayor Bill Carpenter, the school committee had been fully aware of the deficit that was in the busing budget, but we were assured by Mayor Carpenter, who at the time had discussions with I believe Jay Condon and certainly people on our side of the street, that there were certain accounts that were being reviewed and audited and that there was going to be a surplus. So could you just give me some time? Don't vote to have a deficit in that account. Just give me a little bit of time, and I assure you that there will be the money to cover that shortfall. So we all know what happened. Unfortunately, Bill passed away, and then it became a big public hullabaloo, and we ended up, the city ended up lo and behold, finding the money where it was supposed to be found. And thank goodness the busing money was there, and we balanced the busing budget, which was always the plan. So this year, unfortunately, we have, a deficit starting out. So as basically not to get into the same criticism where we're robbing Peter to pay Paul. I just find that, unfortunately, in the city of Brockton, the busing is so essential because of the streets here in the city. It's not when we were kids growing up. Over in my old neighborhoods, North Quincy Street, East Ashland Street, those streets, Center Street, those streets are crazy. Just like over here on the west side, we've got Pearl Street. Several kids have gotten hit. We've got Oak Street. We've got Pleasant Street. We've got Belmont Street. We've got all just Montello, all the busy streets across the city. We've had, unfortunately, kids who have been very hurt, and also, unfortunately, I think we've had a couple of deaths too, untimely deaths of little kids. So I just can't vote to cut out the busing money. I know it's going to be a difficult task. I think hopefully that there may be some money in the future to come in, but in all good conscience, for safety in my mind, and also for to avoid the big friction that we had last year. I'm going to just vote nay on that, and the reasoning is that I just think it's a safety issue, and I think it's essential, especially for the wards over here who are just have huge numbers of kids walking and have a lot of traffic on these streets. So that's my reasoning, and I just wanted you guys to understand it. It's certainly nothing personal. I know the mayor has been working dogged to find money, and the people on our side of the street have been working extremely hard, but I just, in good conscience, that's where I'm coming from. So nothing personal, but just a personal choice. So
Thank you very much, Mr. Minicello. Thank you. Any other questions from any school committee members or comments from any? Mr. D'Agostino, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment, and I think, we all agree and have the safety concerns. I guess my hope is that, we'll have monies come in that'll allow us to restore that. We've unfortunately in past years, been in the same position of having to initially have a short in the transportation budget and then, work through that. It's unfortunate we don't have any commitments on Chapter 70, and we had to essentially make a decision between shorting transportation or having, if I did the math right, as many as I think it would be another 40 to 50 reduction in force notices if we didn't do that. I think it's unfortunate that we've had to make that choice of more teacher RIFs versus busing, but that is the position that we're in with the information that we have in front of us at this time. And as that information changes, we'll be able to move forward and hopefully restore all of the things that we've had to take out of this budget at this point. So I again, for folks, just know that, again, what we do tonight is not the final number at all. And just thinking back 2 weeks ago where we were, as the superintendent said, we started with over 400 reduction in force notices and worked that down to 24 last night. But unfortunately, there were some other areas that we had to take money from in order to do that. Had we not done that, we would have incurred larger workers' comp costs. And that's just, that expense never comes back, right? If we get more money in, we can put that towards the busing and bringing teachers back. But if we do a larger layoff, millions of dollars in workers' comp costs would happen that there's no way we ever get that back. That's just gone. Not workers' comp. I'm sorry. I keep saying workers' comp. I mean unemployment. So I share Mr. Minicello's concerns about safety, and I hope, and I feel like hopefully, as time goes on, just in 2 weeks, the picture changed, and so hopefully 2 weeks from now, things will change even more in our favor, and we'll be able to, take care of some of these things. But unfortunately, we do have a deadline of a budget, and we have to move forward with something. So that's all I had to say.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. Any further comments from any members? Seeing none, we'll move on to agenda item number 2, which is the approval of the fiscal year 2021 budget. That's in the form of a motion.
Mayor, I have
Mr. D'Agostino, please.
I have the motion written up the way it needs to be here, so I'll just read it off.
Sure.
I'd like to entertain a motion I'd like to enter a motion to approve this FY21 net school spending budget request of $165,200. Let me try that again. $165,927,020 as proposed by the Finance Committee of the School Committee, and recommended that the mayor consider this funding request in preparation of the City of Brockton FY21 mayor's recommended budget.
That's the form of a motion. You have a second motion relative to non-net?
I do.
Okay, so we'll take this. The first motion was just made by Mr. Vice Chairman D'Agostino. Is there a second on that motion?
Second on the motion.
The motion made by Mr. Minicello. I will now read the roll. The chair says yes. The Vice Chair D'Agostino?
Yes.
Ms. Azak?
Yes.
Mrs. Mendez?
Yes.
Mr. Minicello?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan says yes. It's a unanimous 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in the affirmative. It passes. Mr. D'Agostino, you have a secondary motion.
I do. I'd also like to enter a motion to approve this FY21 non-net school spending budget request of $11,553,365 as proposed by the Finance Committee of the School Committee, and recommend that the mayor consider this funding request in his preparation of the City of Brockton FY21 mayor's recommended city budget.
That's the form of a motion by Mr. D'Agostino. Is there a second on the motion, please?
Second.
It's a second by Mr. Sullivan. I'll now read the roll. The Chair Sullivan says yes. Vice Chair D'Agostino.
Yes.
Ms. Azak.
yes,
Mrs. Mendez.
Yes.
Mr. Menoncello.
No.
Mr. Rodriguez. Tony.
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan.
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
Sullivan.
Yes.
7 in the affirmative, 1 in the negative. It hereby passes and it's confirmed. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll go on to number 3, which is the reopening plan for September. Mr. Superintendent, please.
So I've had a reopening committee made up first of the district design team that has worked together all year. That has about 30 members. That has expanded to almost double that size. The district design team is the committee that was put together by me last summer to work on a bunch of different things in the school department as like a restructuring committee. We have now obviously changed the work of that committee. We started last month of actually looking for a reopening plan. We've added several members. We're up to about 60 people. And I will be presenting to you on our next school committee meeting, I believe is the 16th. I will be presenting a PowerPoint of what we're working on. And I'm also going to, through the vice chair, ask that we have 2 members of the school committee join this working group as there's a communication and stakeholders part of one of the groups that's working on the reopening plan. It's very important that obviously school committee members have a voice on how we're going to reopen, what it's going to look like, so we can report back to our parents. And our other stakeholders will also be adding parents to the stakeholders working group. So between now and next meeting, through the vice chair, we can talk about 2 members, and I'll let Mr. D'Agostino know what times we meet every week. But I look forward to having school committee members join me in the planning team. But I will do an extensive presentation next week. I'll probably have a member of each of the 5 working groups with me in the next school committee meeting to basically give an update on what each group is working on. So I'll give an overview of how the group is broken up in the different areas we're looking at. And then I'll have a member of each one of the working groups give an update of what we're working on. I do want to be clear that the Department of Ed sent some guidance out on Friday. They sent a memo out late about PPE equipment that's going to be needed in the fall to reopen school. And with that memo they also sent reopening guidance, but that reopening guidance was related to what we need if you want to open summer school classes, only 10 in a class, up to 2 with no more than 2 adults, so a total of 12. And a lot of people ran with that as that's what the September guidance is going to look like. That's not the case. The guidance that is out by the Department of Ed right now of what classroom size is going to be, that's strictly for summer. We have not received the guidance from the Department of Ed yet. We're expecting that probably later in June, maybe early July. But that memo that the Department of Ed sent out Friday did cause a lot of confusion of what school is going to look like in September. So I just want to be clear that there is no guidance out from the Department of Ed for September yet, other than what we need to prepare to buy for PPE equipment. And that's it for number 3, Mr. Mayor. Unless
Thank you
anybody
very much. Any questions from the members to the superintendent on agenda item number 3? None. We'll move on then. We'll go to number 4, which is graduation dates for the class of 2020.
As you know, I want to thank the committee for their patience. I want to thank first the parents for their patience, because we have done everything we've tried to do to hold off, to try to make the best decision to give our students, our seniors, our class of 2020 from Brockton High, Edison Academy, the Key Center, and for the Huntington. We want to really give them a graduation that that they deserve. And I want to thank the school committee. I want to thank the mayor for continuing to talk about this. We've talked about this often. with 1,000, actually with all the classes together with Edison, it's about 1,500 students that will be graduating. And, you know, there has been a lot of talk. Obviously, we're going to go forward with our virtual graduation because there are some service members that are leaving for the military. So we want to make sure we have our virtual graduation. But we know that people really wanted a physical graduation. So I want to thank the mayor. I want to thank Dr. Herman and Linda Cahill. And so we met up at the high school last week at Marciano Stadium with Mr. DiAgostino. And so Dr. Herman could take a look at Marciano Stadium so we could plan for a physical graduation that is right for our students. So if numbers continue to tread down with COVID cases, we are on schedule to have physical graduations the weekend of the July 24th, 25th, and 26th. Obviously, there's much more details to come out as we move forward. But again, this is what the guidelines dictate to us. We cannot have it any earlier than that. They do allow us to do a physical, the guidelines say you can do a physical graduation on July 19th or after. Unfortunately, July 19th is a Sunday. And so we can't get all of the schools per house, and the Huntington, the Keith, and Edison all graduated in one day. So we had to move to the next weekend, which is the weekend of July 24th, 25th, and 26th. There's a lot of planning that's going into that. I want to thank Dr. Murray. I want to thank Dr. Cobbs, Cindy Burns, and Jane Lanner, the principals of all the schools, for putting a lot of work into this, along with Ken Thompson and facilities. But that's our plan right now. And again, as we said in our letter to the families, as long as the cases continue to trend down, we'll continue to watch that. But hopefully, if that's still the case, as the cases trend down, you know, we're having that physical graduation, which again, our kids deserve. And I just want to thank the mayor and this committee for continuing to have these conversations to do what's best for our kids and always keeping our kids in the forefront.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. Any questions for the superintendent relative to what Mike just stated? Ms. Azak, please.
Thank you, Superintendent. I just had a quick question. So I've had a lot of families reach out just asking, when will we be able to break down which day, which buildings are graduating, which days, just so families know how to plan around that? We know it's not set in stone, but if everything goes well and we are able to go forward with the actual graduation in person, just so they can, you know, figure out their own schedules, because it's really not that far away. You know, it's just a few weeks. We're already going into the second week in June, and time's going by really fast.
So we will have, we'll have that information to them by early next week. So I'll put, we're putting a plan together with Dr. Cobbs, Ken Thompson, Jamie Domestico, and then obviously the principals of all the schools. And then we'll put the times together. We'll talk about it. I'll send those out to the school committee as well. And then Jess can send a call or announcement, or the actually principals will send that announcement to the schools. And we'll also text that information out as well, and also put it on our Facebook page. So we'll actually, by middle of next week, we'll have those exact times and days.
Perfect. That'll answer a lot of questions.
Yep.
The other question I'm getting is, will the students actually get their diploma that day?
We're actually, we're hoping to give out diplomas earlier so they can actually get their diplomas. Because they are in. So we're going to plan on those students that have to leave, and some are leaving, some are going away and not going to be able to make it. So we want to get their diplomas to them before the virtual ceremony. So Dr. Murray, Cindy Burns, and Principal Lanner are working on that. Dr. Cobbs, his graduation for Edison students comes later in the summer. So those diplomas will be given out at the physical graduation. But what we're doing is we're doing duplicate diplomas. So we're doing diplomas for all students that can get one before the virtual graduation, and then we're going to have a second set of, same exact. It's going to look exactly the same, that they'll be able to pick up on the day of the physical graduation as well. I just thought it was important to. I didn't want to give a student an empty sleeve. Neither did the principal. So what we did was we ordered, as you know, You know, we went out back to the printer, said, you know, can you get us another set of diplomas before, you know, July 24th? And they said they could. I want to thank Dr. Murray for taking that on. So, you know, students that attend will get one for the virtual, and they'll also get one for the physical graduation as well.
Great, thank you so much. And thank you to Dr. Murray and all the deans and assistant deans. It's pretty much been a team effort all around for all of BPS. So I know a lot of the families appreciate, you know, I know you had given out some of the signs, the senior signs, caps and gowns, little things that they're getting, t-shirts. So a lot of them are happy and very thankful that, you know, it's a little something, but they'll be excited to be able to graduate on the field. So fingers crossed, hopefully everything goes well and we're able to pull this off. But thank you so much.
Welcome.
Any additional comments or questions relative to this matter?
I have one question.
Mrs. Sullivan, please.
I have one question for the superintendent. Do we, the virtual graduation date again was?
June 27th, Saturday, June 27th.
Okay. Do we have a time or anything?
I believe we, you know, I'll get that to you. I do have a
Okay.
time, but for some reason I don't have. Melinda, do you know that exact time?
There's no time.
Dr. Murray?
We haven't been given a time yet. They just,
Oh, that's
because
from
they aren't
BCA.
sure how long it's gonna run, and they gotta figure out a block, so.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was hoping they do it on Saturday and Sunday as well, just in case somebody missed a particular part with the family member. So we're trying to get them to do it Sunday as well.
yeah, and I'm sure, and BCA's always been great. I'm sure they're gonna run that several times once we have it done. So the first time it will air, it will be on, you know, June 27th. But obviously they'll run it quite often after that. But I will get you an exact time, and we'll make sure that gets out to the parents as well. We're just waiting for BCA to finalize, put everything together, put all the clips in for the choir and everything else that we're doing. So we'll get you that time.
All right. Thank you, Superintendent Thomas and Dr. Murray.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Sullivan. Mr. Sullivan, you have a question followed by Mr. Minicello, please.
Yes, one question, Mike. I know you said the diplomas are in, but what about the yearbooks? Are they in as well?
Dr. Murray can answer that. I believe they are still coming from the printer, but I think they're pretty close.
They're at the printer, and we're hopeful to get at least half of our order the week that we distribute the diplomas and return senior belongings. There was a holdup again because of the COVID-19 and essential businesses, and then we did have a little technical problem. So it's at the printer, it's being printed. I've got my fingers crossed, but I can't say for sure. We definitely know it will be ready by the end of June. We were just hoping that we would have it. So about half of the pre-orders were seniors, and I'd really love to give them their yearbooks the same time we do the other stuff. Just got my fingers crossed. We'll know more next week.
Mr. Minicello, please.
Mr. Superintendent, do we have a number yet of the military students that won't be around for the physical graduation?
Dr. Murray has that as well. Yep.
You have a rough idea of how many it would be?
So we have 22 students who are actually joining the military. The Navy wins this year. They have 10. We have 4 students who we know 2 for sure, and 2 are waiting for orders. So we've actually been working with Colonel Clark on that. He's been working with the recruiters. So we have 2 for sure. We have 2 more that may have to report prior to the July date.
Okay, I was just hoping that perhaps, Mr. Superintendent and Dr. Murray, that we could, when we know the exact number, even if it's 2, 4, 5, whatever, that perhaps we could do a little something for those that aren't going to be there to make their graduation nice for them.
I'll be happy to get their names, and then you folks can communicate any ideas. You let me know. We're happy to do that. They're going to have their respective service sashes, and hopefully those pictures will be part of the virtual ceremony as well. And of course, we're very, very proud of their service.
Great, thank you.
Mr. Minicello, great idea. Thank you very much. Yeah, we got to run with that. Thank you. Any other school committee members have any questions for the superintendent or Dr. Murray? Seeing none, oh, Mr. D'Agostino, please.
I was going to ask if we needed a motion on the graduation date. I think we do, right?
We
Yeah.
do. Yeah, we do.
All right. I was going to make a motion to change the graduation date to July 25th and 26th for a in-person building by building graduation to be held at Marciano Stadium.
Second.
This is a form of a motion made by Mr. D'Agostino, seconded by Mrs. Mendez, relative to the change of date for the services over 2 days based upon buildings at Brockton High with social physical distancing. I'll read the roll. Chair Sullivan says yes. Vice Chair D'Agostino.
Yes.
Ms. Azak.
Yes.
Mrs. Mendez.
Yes.
Mr. Minicello.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan.
Yes, I also have one comment.
Go ahead, Judy.
It's July 24th, 25th, 26th for the dates.
No,
25, 26.
it's Saturday's the 27th. I believe it's the 27th and the 28th, and Friday's the 26th.
What?
No, that's,
July.
No.
Okay,
no,
It's
it's
Mr.
I'm looking at the
Superintendent, can
calendar.
you clarify the date, Mr. Superintendent?
the dates are July 24, 25, 26. It's a Friday, a Saturday, and a Sunday.
Oh, I apologize.
D'Agostino, if you can revise your, let's, first of all, we won't finish the roll with Mr. Sullivan. Mr. D'Agostino, if you could please revoke your motion.
Yeah, I'd like to revoke the previous motion and make a
And
new
Ms.
motion.
One second, Ms. Mendez, do you revoke your second to that?
I revoke my second.
Thank you. So that original motion is obsolete. It's gone now. It's been rescinded. A new motion is on the floor. Mr. D'Agostino, please.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we change the graduation date for Brockton High School to July 24, 25, and 26 to be a building by building with proper social distancing, of course, graduation ceremony at Marciano Stadium.
Could you please, I just want to be clear, we're adding a physical graduation date. So basically, we're keeping the virtual graduation on June 20. So the reason for the confusing date, the dates, we were looking at June 27th, 26th, 27th, and 28th at one point. So those were June dates. So the virtual graduation is on June 27th. That's staying in. And then we're adding the physical graduations on June 24th, 25th, and 26th. But I like to not forget the Key Center, the Huntington, and the Edison, so in Brockton High. So it would be for all four of those schools would be graduating on that weekend of July 24, 25, and 26.
The only,
Should I revoke or
again,
just amend?
no, you don't need to revoke it because we already took a lawful vote for the virtual. That's already on the books. It's already been ratified as such. This is just a new motion that you made relative to 24, 25, 26. Again, it was a motion that was properly made. This is for the in-person one, the ceremonies that we're going to be doing at Marciano, as stated by Mike Thomas, not just for Brockton High. We have others that, of course, we're going to honor and respect. So motion made by the chair, Mr. D'Agostino. Cynthia, do you have a second on that?
Yes, second.
Mrs. Mendez made a second. We'll take a roll call. The chair says yes. Vice Chair D'Agostino,
Yes.
Ms. Azak,
Yes.
Mrs. Mendez,
Yes.
Mr. Minicello,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan,
yes.
Mr. Sullivan.
Yes.
It's unanimous. It's confirmed, and that motion passes. Matter now comes before us, number 5, which is new business. Is there any new business before the school committee this evening?
I just have a reminder, tomorrow morning at 9:30. Again, I want to thank Dr. Murray and the Brockton High School administration tomorrow, and I believe everybody got a Zoom invite for the virtual senior awards. These are done every year in the lobby of the Fine Arts. It's always a great setting. Unfortunately, as you know, we can't do that physically this year. So the virtual senior awards are tomorrow morning at 9:30. And everybody should have that Zoom invite, and Melinda can send that again out tonight if you're able to join in on to watch the senior awards. Again, 9:30 tomorrow morning, and Melinda will resend the Zoom invite to you.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. Any other new business? Mr. Rodriguez, followed by Mr. D'Agostino, followed by Mr. Sullivan. Tony, the floor is yours.
Good. Thank you, Mayor. This question is for the superintendent. I was just wondering if the Board of Health has been providing the school department with addresses relative to the COVID, and if the school department is cross-referencing that to make sure that we don't have any students that reside in these addresses to further plan for our school opening come September.
That hasn't happened since the closing, because obviously we haven't had kids in school, but I'm sure that will be a plan working with the mayor as we.
No, let me clarify that. It can't happen at this time. The HIPAA that was revised only allowed the Board of Health to provide hot houses. They call them hot houses, houses that had positive confirmed cases to police or fire to inform them. That's how the HIPAA was ratified by Governor Baker. We, as the health, and Tony's on it, Cynthia's on it, the Health Equity Task Force, we sent a letter to Governor Baker for more information and data that's going to help our community specific to Brockton. Governor did sign a bill just the other day. We're going to discuss it on the Thursday call relative to providing more data to our community and other communities in the Commonwealth. But the HIPAA right now, Board of Health is not allowed to provide that to the schools, only to police and fire at this time. I agree with you, Tony. I think it's asinine. It would be really helpful as a community. But right now, that's what law is telling us.
And then hopefully, Mr. Rodriguez, and Mr. Mayor, hopefully that when the Department of Ed and the governor work together on putting guidance out for returning to school, that might be something that will add to the guidance, that information the schools have to get. I mean, that's obviously could be a possibility as they look to reopen schools. Hopefully they look to make that change. But that's a great point.
Just to elaborate on that, I mean, if we're going to open the schools for summer school, I think that information is very important at this time because it's right around the corner.
Yep. So
I think that, we have to work on making sure that information is passed forward.
Mr. Superintendent, when we have, so Mike and Aldo are on my call every Tuesday at 2 with the state delegation, again, the senator and the 3 reps. Mike, let's again make a combined effort, collaborative effort to reiterate the importance. Ultimately, it's going to trickle down from Beacon Hill. But again, we don't even have the money for Chapter 70 for Beacon Hill, so I'm not going to hold my breath on that. But common sense says, yeah, it should definitely be done. I just want to let you know, I didn't give you an update right now. We're over 4,000 total cases. We have lost 2 additional people, 246 loss of life, deaths because of the nasty, deadly virus. The good news is we're under 800 now on current active cases. I think it was, I don't have the hard number. I think it was 786, 756. I'll email you all once I get that. We were up to 2,900 current cases just two and a half weeks ago. So the trend is going down, thank God. Dr. Herman, again, MD, my pandemic medical consultant, he is concerned again about a second surge. The peaceful protests, maybe that increases, maybe it doesn't, we don't know. I also know that the testing at Brockton High is now down to 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And the testing just on Monday, it was only 20 people that showed up. So, we're all in this together. It looks like it's trending in the right direction, and let's hope to God it stops. Let's just hope that. Mr. Rodriguez, any additional comments or questions?
No, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. We'll go to Mr. D'Agostino, followed by Mr. Sullivan, please.
I'll be quick. Real quick on the graduation motion. I just wanted to apologize for leaving some of our schools out. I look forward to celebrating all of our seniors, and so that was not an intentional. That was just an error, but I didn't mean to leave anybody out. So I look forward to celebrating all of our seniors. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. Mr. Sullivan, please.
Yes, for the superintendent.
Sure.
We voted on the revised draft for the calendar. Do we have to do that twice? Or is it once sufficient?
No, that was once. It was done at a formal school committee meeting last time. And it was only one date we had to change, so that's officially has been changed. We took out September 14th as a holiday because of the marathon being canceled. So that was officially voted last time. So there's no other vote needed for that. Thank you, Mr. Sullivan.
And just one final question about the awards tomorrow. You said it's 9:30 a.m.
9:30 a.m. on a Zoom, and I'll have Melinda send you that login information. I'll have her send that tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Mr.
Sullivan.
Mayor.
Any other school committee members have any questions or comments? I just want to personally thank each and every one of you, especially Tony and Cynthia and myself. We're the three newbies on the school committee. And, you know, in January when we got sworn in, we never expected, any of us expected to have, first of all, a deadly pandemic and then financial uncertainty. We didn't expect it in any facet. So I just want to thank you all. I want to thank again Aldo and Mike. They've been great partners, very responsive, always working. It's as I said last night, it's like if we tried to manage our own household budgets without knowing the money coming in. It's very difficult to do. But I do know that we work diligently weeks and weeks. And again, I also share the same sentiments of Mr. Minicello. You know, I have two young kids that take the bus here at Brockton Public Schools. And it's, again, we're not taking anything lightly. We're definitely not taking lightly any loss of jobs, not one single person. And we're going to hope to God that State House Beacon Hill comes through with some Chapter 70 that makes sense and helps us. We also, as I said last night, we're not going to hesitate to pull the plug and file another lawsuit. No way. We already have Trip Jones lined up to do that again with us, and we won't hesitate. And I know Salem and some other municipalities will join us on that pledge. And then again, as I shared last night, Congressman Steve Lynch, who came here Wednesday after the events of last Tuesday night, he shared with us that he strongly believes some federal dollars will come to the city of Brockton. So it's not by any stretch of imagination an ideal situation. You know, we're elected to serve the best interests of the citizens in the Brockton Public Schools. And, you know, it's a daunting challenge. But I do think that, you know, with the help of the BEA and with the vice chairman sitting in a lot of meetings, each and every one of you took a lawful vote tonight. I appreciate that. And I'll be doing it next week. I'll be submitting it to the city council, and, you know, our colleagues on the city council, all 11, will be doing the same thing to work through it. So rest assured, if any money comes in, we're going to go back and fill positions and services, and transportation will not be forgotten. But again, it's just unfortunately that they expect a municipality such as the city of Brockton that relies so heavily, over 50% on Chapter 70, to try to do a budget and a forecast over $500 million. It's very difficult to do. So I just want to thank you all for your leadership and for your friendship, and more importantly, for your public service to Brockton. Thank you. Any other, Ms. Azak, please.
I'm not sure if we've already done this. Do we have a date for our students to go back, get their personal belongings, have the principals? Has that already happened, or do we have a date planned? I'm seeing other schools, you know, having their students, you know, pick up a bag of their belongings. So I'm not sure who's packing that stuff up, but especially the high school, we have a lot of kids that have stuff in those lockers.
That's being done. That's being done as we speak.
Okay.
Principals will reach out directly to their families and have pickup times for next week at all schools, every one of our schools. So teachers, administrators have coming in to, you know, basically clean up their rooms, pack student belongings, clear out lockers and desks, bag up students' items, and then pickup will be next week over, you know, obviously safely over several days. And the principals are going to, they'll be calling and informing all their families directly.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Mr. Superintendent, that goes across from elementary to middle school to high school. Okay, excellent.
Every
Okay.
school. Yep, exactly.
My own kids were wondering, so that's why I
Yep.
could go home and tell them. So anything else before us this evening? Again, I want to thank you all. Have a good evening. Stay safe and God bless. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Good
Thank you.
night.
Good night.
Oh, I'm sorry. We have to entertain a motion to adjourn. Sorry,
No.
Robert's rules. I need
Motion to
to.
adjourn.
A motion.
Second.
All right, motion made by Mrs. Sullivan, seconded by Ms. Azak. Roll call. Chair says yes. Vice Chair D'Agostino.
Yes.
Ms. Azak.
Yes.
Mrs. Mendez.
Yes.
Mr. Minicello.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan.
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan.
Yes.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Good night.
Right, good
Take
night.
care. Good night.
Thank you,
Good
everybody.
night.